So today we have the brand new AVH X491BHS.
Stay tuned.
So here it is, the new 2017 AVH lineup. This one is a limited distribution model. Let's open it up and take a look inside.
Let's go.
For those of you that are wondering what limited distribution means, that means it's not available everywhere. You can only get it at authorized Pioneer retailers.
Bag of screws.
So they say anyways. Yes, bag of screws. Both kinds.
Bluetooth microphone.
In a blue bag. Coincidence?
Remote control.
I think not. Alright, yes. Remote control.
Power plug.
Yes.
USB extension.
This is a 5-foot USB extension that comes with every radio. If for some reason you got a video head unit and it doesn't have a USB, go back to where you had it and say, hey, where's my USB cable? It's there. The factory USB is on the back, comes with a 5-foot cable so you can route it somewhere convenient for you to plug into.
Yes, sir. Owner's manual.
Yes.
And the warranty card.
Now, if you send in your warranty cards, they will notify you when there's software updates. Otherwise, you have to watch every one of our videos and we tell you when there's software updates.
That would be cool.
That would be punishment for you. I feel bad.
Yeah, that's just right.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish unbagging this and show you what's on the back. So you have your backup camera, is the brown RCA located right here. You have the AVIC U280 Pioneer add-on navigation system, plugs into right here. This is your AV inputs located right here. This is the audio, this is the video. This is also the front-facing camera input right here. Right next to it is the AV output. They're both the same color, so make sure you pay attention when connecting them. This is the one and only USB input. This is your 5-volt preamp level output. You have front, you have rear, and you have sub. On the other side of the radio, you have the Bluetooth microphone input is the small input right here. Located right next to it is the steering wheel control interface input. Located down here on the bottom is the auxiliary input. These two are the exact same size, so when plugging them in, make sure you pay attention to what you're doing. Of course, the power plug input is located right here. Your SiriusXM input is right here. That's the SXV300. Then located in the very corner is the HD radio FM antenna input. Okay, so when the radio first powers up, it's going to ask you to pick a language. You have 5 choices: English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and this one. Go ahead and select yes. Next, it's going to bring you to standard mode or network mode. Now this is a very important feature in that how you set up your radio. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through these two options real quick and give you an idea of what they both do. Okay, so let's choose network mode and we'll go ahead and check this out. We're going to go ahead and skip the smartphone setup for right now. Keep going. It's going to bring us to this page right here. Now let's go ahead and select the source. Right now we'll just select HD radio. We'll go ahead and hit the gears. We'll come over here to the audio setting. Now, this particular radio has a 13-band EQ that can be accessed by 2 ways. 1, hitting that, or 2, just selecting EQ. Now, in the EQ, you have presets across the bottom here. You have super bass, powerful, natural, vocal, and flat. You also have custom 1 and custom 2. To adjust the EQ, go ahead and just drag your finger across. You can drag your finger up or down to fine tune. And then you can make them custom 1 or custom 2. Now when you select them, they'll change. We'll go ahead and go back here. Now, balance. If you notice, it doesn't say balance and fader, it just says balance. This is one of the things in network mode. So you have a left, you have a right. Network mode does not have front and rear. It just has left and right. Mute level. This unit has mute. This, you want to attenuate, mute, or just leave it off. Factory default is to attenuate. Source level adjust is not accessible on FM, so we'll come back to that one. We have subwoofer on and subwoofer off. We have speaker level. Now if you notice here, it says high left, mid left, of course, the rights and subwoofer. It has a picture of a little tweeter and a mid-range. Because in network mode, that's essentially what you're getting. The front output of the radio becomes a tweeter output, the rear output of the radio becomes a mid-range output, and then subwoofer is accessible through the RCA output. This does, there again, there's no rear speakers connected because it is in network mode. Now, with speaker level, you can go in and adjust the level of each speaker independently. This is helpful for the next feature, which is listening position. From here you can tell it where you're going to sit in the car. So let's say we're going to sit in the driver's seat if you're in the US, or if you're overseas, be here. So let's go ahead and pick this. We'll go back. And now we'll scroll down here to time alignment. Now what this has done is this has given us a generic time setting of where the sound, the speakers are in conjunction with our head. So for example, this tweeter 40 inches away, the mid-range is 43 inches away. Now we can go in and we can adjust this. We can also take a tape measure and go from here to here and here to here in real life in the car and put those numbers in. Now where that comes into speaker level is if you'll notice it's gone ahead and added in a generic level setting. Now, the nice thing about all of this particular setup is that this can all be done through the auto EQ settings. If you'd like to know how to do that, we do have a video on that, so go ahead and check that out. We'll put a link to it in the description. Now, crossover is also different when you're in network mode. Because it's dealing with a tweeter, you have a high output, which you can adjust here. You have 6, 12, 18 dB, or 24 for the slope, as well as you can adjust the frequency here. Now when you go up, or back I should say, it's going to give you the top of the mid-range. This is how high of frequency you want the mid-range to play. It's also going to give you a bottom for the mid-range, so you can decide how low you want it to play, meaning how much bass you want to have it reject. And then you have a subwoofer output. So the mid-range is what they call bandpass because you have how high you can play and how low it can play. And that can be set up through network mode. So if you notice, the auto EQ settings are grayed out. The radio does have to be in the off position in order for them to work, or in standby mode. Next you have save settings and load settings. So if you're going to take the time to go ahead and set this radio up to its maximum potential, you definitely want to save settings so that if the battery is disconnected, you can retrieve them. And that would be done through load settings. Next we have bass boost. Bass boost is a 4-level control, so if you have music that has very little bass, go ahead and turn on bass boost. Otherwise, leave it off. The rear speaker out is going to be disabled, and loudness is also disabled in network mode. Automatic level control, this is if you're using pre-recorded music and it's of different levels depending on how old the music is. So what this will do is this will automatically, depending on which mode you pick, mode 1 or mode 2, will automatically level out the music you're playing from whatever device you're playing it on. Now let's go ahead and go back and take a look at standard mode. To do that, we need to restore the radio. So we're going to hit gears, we're going to hit tools, we're going to scroll down to where it says restore settings. Go ahead and click that and click restore. You do have to restore the radio, not reset the radio, in order for you to get back to standard or network mode. So depending on which one you picked, if that's not the one you want, go ahead and do the restore feature. Now there again, the first thing that will come up is the language. We'll go ahead and bypass that. Default is going to be standard mode, and 99% of you are going to be using standard mode. So now let's go ahead and select standard mode, select OK. We're going to skip over the smartphone bypass setup again. We'll come back to that. We'll go ahead and select auxiliary for this one. We'll come over here, we'll select speakers. Our 13-band EQ works exactly the same way. Now you'll notice this fader and balance. So here you go, you can drag it all the way around. Your mute level's the same. Source level adjust. Let's talk about that briefly. Now what this allows you to do is anything other than FM, it allows you to gain up or gain down. So for example, let's say you're using something with an auxiliary that doesn't have a really hot output, meaning it's not as loud as the FM. You can come in here and turn it up. This also works on Bluetooth or any other source in the radio so that you can have the volumes all match. This is nice if you're trying to do any form of gain setting or clipping detection. Subwoofer on and off stays the same. Now when we select speaker level, it's going to give us front and rear. So now we have our standard setup. If you notice, that little tweeter icon is missing because now we're back to front, rear, sub. And the powered outputs as well as the RCAs are going to be front, rear, and then sub out the RCA. So next we'll go into crossover. This allows you to have a front, rear, as well as sub crossover. There again, it's 6, 12, 18, or 24 dB per octave slope for both high pass and low pass. You can drag it across here to adjust your frequency. Listening position, you can tell it where you're sitting in the car, just like in network mode. However, now when you go to time alignment, it's going to have a back seat and it's going to have speakers back here instead of the little tweeters. So now there again, it's put in these generic numbers. You can go ahead and set them up yourself with a tape measure or use auto EQ. Save settings and load settings work the same way. Bass boost works the same way. Rear speaker select output. This is functional now. This is a very unique feature that Pioneer has. If you want to use the rear speaker outputs in this, instead of powering a rear speaker, but to actually power up a small subwoofer, so let's say you had a front speaker and a subwoofer, you can do that with this radio, pretty much all Pioneers, but it is only achieved when the radio, you can only access it when the radio's in standby mode. You have loudness control now, so you have off, low, mid, or high. And you have automatic level control just like previous. So that's the main difference between standard and network mode. Now let's go ahead and we're going to restore this one more time so we can go through and do the smartphone setup. So we're back into the language settings. We'll go ahead and bypass that. We're going to select standard. We'll select OK. Now we get to the smartphone setup. Here again, this is another important feature. Now keep in mind, if you've had your radio installed and you're missing out on doing all these, you want to check to see what it was, you can go ahead and select the restore settings and start all over just like we're showing you here. So here we're going to tell it what kind of phone we have. Do we have an iPod, iPhone, or other? So if we select other, it's going to give us two options, USB MTP or AppRadio 1. Now, I will tell you this, if you look down here, you'll see the USB thumb drive is grayed out. This is important if you ever want to do an update and or plug in a thumb drive to change the backgrounds or do anything that requires a thumb drive. If you plug in a thumb drive into the USB in this particular setup, it will not work. If you select USB MTP, you'll notice that the AppRadio 1 is grayed out, but you get USB MTP. So keep this in mind if you're setting it up for Android. Now if you select iPhone and you select USB, if you notice over here it says Pandora and Spotify. These are only available through the USB in this particular setup. So if you go to Bluetooth, you'll not see, or if you go to the source menu, you'll not see these in the source menu. If you select wireless Bluetooth, if you notice over here these two shut off but these stayed on, these will give you access, full access to these two features in the wireless Bluetooth. For now, let's leave it in wireless Bluetooth. We'll come over here and select next. So let's talk about the radio real quick. It's an 800 by 480 7-inch clear resistive WVGA screen with LED backlighting. It's also motorized, so if you hit the eject button, you have two choices. You can eject it for a CD, or you can tilt the screen. This is nice to avoid glare. If you tap it back, as well as hit CD, it'll go ahead and open all the way. Either insert a CD DVD or just hit the eject button and it'll close. Now this radio also has 50 watts of internal power, as well as we said earlier, a 4-volt preamp output. So now that we're past the setup stage, let's take a look at some other features that we might want to adjust right off the bat. First thing, hit the gears, hit the wrench screwdriver, and scroll down to where it says demo mode. Go ahead and turn the demo off. Next, select art palette. Now this is where you get to customize the screen. It has backgrounds, static, as well as animated. You have colors for the buttons, presets, as well as you can do the rainbow scan, or you can come in and choose whatever color you want simply by dragging your finger across. You can select themes. The themes are for the background, so if you come over here to make it a red, make it an orange, make it a green, make it a whitish blue, and then once you've picked that, you can go back to your backgrounds and pick which background you like. Now if you notice this right here, this is for your own background, so you can use the USB thumb drive to import your own background. Go ahead and make it 800 by 480. I would also recommend making the image that you're going to put in here centered over on this side, because the FM and the artwork for all the other things goes here, so it will block your image. So if you're going to make one, have it come over here. So one other thing is setting the clock. If you go ahead and tap the clock, this is where you set it up. So you have month, date, year, as well as time. Time is set on a 24-hour scale. So if you'll notice, it goes up. However, you can choose to display it on 12 or 24. So if we close it, it will denote the normal time that you're used to seeing. Now there's two ways to get to your sources. You can hit the drop down arrow here, or if you come to the home, your main home page, you can select them through here. Anything that is grayed out you do not have access to, either because, like in this case, a CD, DVD, there isn't one inside, or you don't have SiriusXM, you don't have the AV turned on, and there's no backup camera connected. These, if you did have a backup camera connected, it would be highlighted. And since we're talking about backup cameras, as we said, this will do a backup camera and a front-facing camera. So to get the front-facing camera to work, select Gears, select Tools, go to Input-Output Settings, and select AV Input. Go ahead and turn it on, and select Camera as your source. Now when you close it, go to Home, select AV, and tap Camera. In the bottom corner you'll see a 1, 2. Now if there was a camera hooked up, this would be an image. You could easily tap between them and it will flip-flop the image. We do have a video on this if you'd like to check it out. Up here you'll see two choices, a timed and a close. If you select time, it'll go ahead and take you back to the main source page where you can pick something, do it, and then 10 seconds after you're done touching the screen, it'll go back to the camera. This allows you to have the front camera or the rear camera up if you've connected the cameras to accessory power so that they're on with the key. Once you're done, select X and it'll do away with that feature. So let's go ahead and talk about the sources that are available to you. First is going to be HD radio. HD radio allows you to, unlike a standard FM, allows you to do multicast by selecting, once this highlights HD and digital, you can tap the arrow up or arrow down to go through HD 1 and 2 channels. You can also make them presets by opening the door and holding a button. You obviously have the CD DVD player. Next is iPod control. Here you can do a few things. If you tap over here, you can access your music on your iPhone or iPod. So we'll select playlists. You can select track up. If you tap on artist, song, or genre, it'll go ahead and take you into that folder, and there you can search for other similar. In this case, it's in alphabetical order. Pandora control has Pandora presets here, as well as you can tap here. It'll pull up your stations. You can thumb up or thumb down. You can also do the same with Spotify. If you tap the home button, you can go to Bluetooth audio. From here on Bluetooth audio, you can play any Bluetooth app you'd like. So if you don't listen to Pandora or Spotify, let's say you listen to Slacker or Sketcher or anything, it doesn't matter. You can even listen to YouTube from here. You can't watch YouTube, but you can listen to YouTube. So you can listen to anything you want in the Bluetooth audio page. Your auxiliary input. And then over here you have source off and power off. So if you select source off, it's just going to put the radio in this sleep mode where the screen is still on. If you'd like the screen to shut off, go ahead and select display. This will shut the display off. The radio is actually still on, so you can make and receive Bluetooth phone calls. If you tap the screen, it'll come back on. Now, we'll go back here. Power off is just that. This will shut the radio down for good, so that if you want the radio to be totally off, this is where you do it. It's going to ask you twice because it wants to make sure that you know what you're doing, because if it's off, you're not going to get Bluetooth phone calls. Now the little triangle in the corner gives you access to any one of the sources we just talked about that aren't grayed out. The nice thing about these over here is if you tap this guy right here, you can arrange them in any order you want. So if you're not going to be using HD radio, you're primarily going to be doing Pandora or Bluetooth audio, you can arrange these so that they're in a hierarchy that makes sense for you. So along with Bluetooth audio, it also has Bluetooth phone, which is located right here. Now, the cool feature about this radio is that it has a feature called dual phone pairing. What dual phone pairing allows you to do is pair two phones at the exact same time. So you tap here, and it's going to ask you, which phone would you like to connect to? The reason why it's asking you that is for the library. Now, the cool thing about this is, so if you have a, say, a work phone, and also a personal phone, the unit doesn't care which one you get a phone call from. It's going to go ahead and ring through. Now in the phone menu, you have presets, meaning you can make your own presets. You do have your phone book, which you can access over here by rolling up and down. You have your ingoing, outgoing mist, which you can grab by pressing one of these buttons here. You can dial old school if you like. As well as down here you have your voice calling. The last you have down here is hands-free calling. If you tap it, you can choose which one you'd like. It uses Siri Eyes Free as well as Google Voice to make phone calls, as well as get your text messages or ask general questions. So when you press the button, if you get a text message, you could say something like, read me back my last text message, or call Paul, or call Fernando. Or make a text message Fernando, simply by pressing this button. It's a very helpful feature so you don't have to take your eyes off the road. Now, because it has dual phone pairing, it also has dual phone for music. So you can pick which phone you'd like for music as well. The nice thing about it is, it doesn't matter which phone you are listening for music, it will still ring through for phone over either one. So before we wrap this up, a couple other features you may want to know where they're at. For that, we're going to hit the gears, we're going to select tools, and we're going to take a look at the menu real quick. Beep tone on and off. So if it beeps and you don't like it, you can turn it on and off. Input output settings. This is where your smartphone's set up, and of course the front facing camera and on off for auxiliary. If you select smartphone, you'll remember this. If you scroll up, here's your camera settings for your backup camera, your demo mode, if you want to adjust your system language, restore settings as we showed earlier, picture adjust. This allows you to adjust brightness, contrast, and dimmer, as well as adjust your camera. System information. System information is going to be where your firmware information is located. So if there's an update, this will be your old number that you'll know for both the Bluetooth and the system. The system has to be in standby mode in order for this to light up. Another helpful note, when doing updates, you do need to use a Windows computer. Mac will not work. Now, one other feature the Pioneers have is a feature called AppRadio Live. Now, AppRadio Live can only be accessed via USB. If you tap the screen, it's going to go ahead and bring you up the AppRadio Live homepage. Here you can see a map of where you're at, time, events from your calendar, as well as weather. It's also going to show you what music is playing right now. If you tap any one of them, it'll go ahead and bring it to a full screen. Once on the full screen, if you tap the corner, it'll bring you to your choice. From here you can pick navigation, music, weather, or your calendar. So we'll go ahead and select music. Select the arrow up key. Here's where the music from your phone, in this case an iPhone, this is your iTunes library. If you select X and select the 8 little buttons here, here's some other apps that you have access to. Your iPod, obviously, like we just showed you, Pioneer's Internet Radio, a podcast app, if you select weather, it's going to go ahead and give you weather where you're living and your forecast. If you select calendar, it's going to go ahead and show you your calendar. And then what everyone likes to get confused is this. This is not navigation. This is a really cool app that shows you where you're at, allows you to find locations, read reviews on the locations, as well as if you select Go To, it's going to give you a map to your location. Now, if you select Start, it's basically not going to do anything. It will show you on the map where you're going, but it's not going to tell you how to get there. It's not going to give you turn by turn or anything like that. Now, if you notice this icon here where it says to nav, if you select that, you can download NavMe. This will allow you to pay for turn-by-turn navigation. However, if you simply click out of the home menu, you can also use Waze. So if you click on Waze, it'll go ahead and bring up your Waze. Now, a couple things about using Waze. A lot of people have said that the Waze isn't as detailed as it is on the phone. And this is true. That's because this is an 800 by 480 display and not a high definition screen like your smart device. If you select on the icon, you'll notice the familiar how to get there, where to, and home page that you're used to. It also does not do pinch to zoom. It will allow you to motor around and see the area. And in the settings, you can also access your settings if you'd like. The easiest way to use Waze is, of course, to actually do it on the device before you plug it in and have it active. But the nice thing is in Waze, you can listen to whatever music source you'd like. So, for example, if you'd like to listen to the FM, simply exit out, select your HD radio, tune it to whatever station you want, hit the home key, select Waze, and now you'll notice there's a dual volume control here. This volume here, the top volume, is going to be for the Waze. The bottom volume is going to be for the radio. Now, as long as there's no other source music playing in the AppRadio Live app, you're good to go. If you're listening to your iPhone, let's say your iPhone music, this is where it's going to be. So what you would do is you'd go into your AppRadio Live app. Pick your music, press play, exit back out, select Ways, and now you can listen to your iPod music on the music. Basically how this breaks down is the top volume control is the smart device, the bottom volume control is the radio. So things like CD, aux, and FM will be on the bottom. Things like Pandora, Spotify, your music library, or anything in AppRadio will be on the top. If nothing is playing on the top, meaning no music is selected, then you can do one of the source AM, FM, CD, aux, and still get the turn by turn. It will come over the radio and tell you turn here, turn there. If you're listening to something off the phone, it will still interrupt just like it would on your phone. So it'll stop playing Pandora, talk to you, and then start playing Pandora again. So there we go. That's all the coolness that this radio has.
Yeah, the new radios.
That's right. Now, if we've gone over a feature too fast or we didn't give you enough information about something, don't worry about it. Chances are good we shot a companion video for it. So if you go to the playlist that you found this video in, or if you go and find what video playlist this is in, yeah, you get it. Check that out. Chances are good there's going to be a companion video there. If there isn't one, just ask. See if we've made one, and if there is, we'll direct you to it. It's no problem. We're like librarians for that kind of thing.
Yeah, we do this 5 days a week.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, we work 6. What the hell? We're shortchanging them.
Hey.
Well, you know, technically they get 6 videos because we give them the Facebook Live video that we do every Monday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check that out. Otherwise, subscribe, like, share. Where can they find us?
You can find us on Facebook, here in YouTube, and Instagram.
You guys have a great night. As always, we appreciate everything you do. See you later. Bye.